All right, hello everyone. Welcome to week 12. This week we're going to go ahead and look at dialogues. And though you do not need this specific lecture for assignment 6, we do need it for assignment 7. So we're just going to start off with dialogues. Again, this is more of the content for assignment 7 than it is for assignment 6. A friendly reminder, assignment 6 is due in a week from today. So we're going to be covering dialogues. We have week 12 discussions, and assignment 6 due on November 17th. Okay. So let's go ahead, and I do want to talk a little bit about assignment 6 before we actually move on to the dialogues lecture. And that is because, again, dialogues is part of assignment 7, but I do want to cover assignment 6 and what to expect there. All right, so I'm just going to start off with that. I unfortunately don't have a working code right now, but I do have a running version of it, and you can see it here. So pretty much the app is going to open in your history view or list history view screen, and then when you click on one of them, you should be able to edit. For example, I'm going to change this to 93 or something, and then when I click on history, it's going to go ahead and update the information there. All right, so this is all that you need. Literally, that's all you have to do for the assignment. And let me go ahead and maybe change this to 111 just so that we can see the average change. And now it's been switched to abnormal. I'm going to move back to 100. Okay, when I click history, it's been updated. Okay, so this is all that you need for this assignment. Don't overthink it. Your screen recording should be no more than like 15 seconds, honestly. And again, you load it like that. You just click on anything there. You go ahead and make edits. I'm gonna make it so it's in red. Okay, and then you go to history, and then it should change. Okay, and that's it. Like, nothing else. I'm gonna move it to 111 again. History, and that's all you have to do for your demo. That's all that you need there. Don't overthink it, okay? But I do have like some tips and guidance here. Again, my code is not perfect yet. I was running through some issues earlier, and I was trying to fix them, and then I ended up breaking more things. But I could definitely show you some of the things that need to be changed, what to expect there, and how to fix some things. All right, so I did create this assignment 6 overview. So a user should be able to, no, you should not be able to add a new glucose record. I mean, you could to the history, right? But actually, this is from last time. Okay, so it's not even there. Yeah, this is too much. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into here. I'm just gonna go into this slide right here. So you have to submit the full Android Studio project script and a short video recording showing editing a record and updating the list display. That's all you have to do. That's it for assignment 6. We will see more on updates and things like that on assignment 7. So for now, you don't have to worry about the updates. The updates you do. The inserts and the delete, you don't have to worry about it. We will cover that in assignment 7. Okay, so again, let me go ahead and cover some of the things now. Okay, so some of the things to watch out for. And, oh, there we go. Let me make this here. So first that we have this plugin. Okay, so the save args, which is part of navigation, which allow us to pass on like the arguments safely, going back and forth. If you don't have this plugin, then you might not be able to save things properly in when you're trying to update your numbers for the glucose levels. Okay, so here we have the Android save args. It's part of navigation, and it's an argument. Okay, and then so the version that I looked up, again, you can look it up in Android Developer, is 2.9.6. All right, so then I edited the module, sorry, the Gradle here for the app, and all I did was import this one. You don't need more than that. Everything else stayed the same from what we saw last week. Okay, so that's the only one that you had to import there. Okay, and do I have coroutines? Oh, I don't have coroutines. So you also need coroutines. That's why I'm getting an error. Okay. Anyways, so your DAO, right? What's gonna update your DAO? Well, your DAO, you're gonna go ahead and do a query, and this is to be able to update by the date. Okay, so select from glucose where, and we're gonna pick out the date. And when you click on this date, you should be able to access it and again make the edits. And then we're gonna add this update it suspend function. Update suspend function here. Uh, pretty much to update the glucose. And this one we're just calling in the glucose to update, and then another suspend function to go ahead and actually pull in by the date. Okay. Your database pretty much stays the same. Your type converter doesn't change. Your glucose doesn't change. Your adapter does. All right, so what to look here in the adapter? First, we are going to be calling for the set on click listener, right? So before, when we would click on it, we would just have a toast. We're going to get rid of this toast, and we're going to go ahead and call in this function call on glucose clicked. Okay, and when we click the date, then we should be able to make changes. All right, so in your glucose, yeah, so this is on click listener. We have to go ahead and change all of these since we don't need the toast anymore. But we have to go ahead and update that. Okay, and then where did I on glucose clicked? I had this function written. Let me see, where did I have it? Show you. Okay, so I create this. Oh, it's in the holder. Well, it is in the holder. This is the holder. All right. I know it's there. I'm just not seeing it right now, but it's there. And if not, maybe I didn't create it. All right, so in here for the glucose applications, it's going to stay the same. Now the entry fragment is what's going to be changing. Again, this is part of the navigation, and that's why navigation is a complex topic, and that's why that's the only thing that you're required for this assignment, okay? So for here, we're going to do things on change now, and we're going to be calling update the text output, okay? Where did I? Oh, okay. They have this function called update text output. So this one is to update the, no, wait, this one. What am I doing? All right, so in here, just, there we go. The update UI, that's there. Huh. I think I already had this before. So I'm just confusing some of the functions. Okay. Oh, let's see. Okay, we do need these companion objects pretty much to get the glucose repository, to initialize it, to do some updates on the glucose. And is this the correct code? Okay, I guess this is more of the more important ones. And so then the glucose history fragment or the list fragment, we have to go ahead and have the use the find control or find controller nav navigation in here, and then using that navigation function or the navigation feature to go ahead and do the navigation for the screens, different screens. But like I said, this is not complete. Let's see, we're using coroutines. The glucose repository does change. So we have the function get glucoses, which we had before. But now we're gonna do this, use the suspend function. I guess again, it's in our DAO, and we're gonna go ahead and get those glucose dates. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and update the glucose and use a coroutine, and it's messing up right here because I did not declare it on my Gradle files. That's the reason. and have some companion objects here. Okay, the main activity stays the same. So let's talk a little bit about the navigation file. So in the navigation file, I did add another argument here. So first, remember navigation, then we go ahead and say what is going to be a start navigation. In this case, it would be our glucose list fragment or glucose history fragment for me. So depending on whatever you have declared, I guess they changed it, okay? It's gonna, okay. And then and I'm calling, my ID, so it matches whatever I have here, the glucose history list, okay? And so from here, I'm calling in the action, and this action allows us to be able to transfer from one screen to another. And then when we add the second fragment here, I'm going to add an argument. And this argument is going to call in I'm going to call it the glucose ID. And this argument is needed for when we click on the dates. It is going to go ahead and take us back to it's going to take us back to the fragment entry. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you that. Here. Where are you? Okay, it's here. So pretty much in here, so this is our action. Our action is that arrow that takes us to this glucose fragment. So this is called show glucose entry. And then from here in the glucose entry, I have this argument called glucose ID. And this glucose ID, which is my date, takes me back to my glucose fragment. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so it would take me back to the glucose or update the glucose entry and take us back. So it's okay. All right. So navigation graph, the main so pretty much everything else stays the same. But those are the few files that you do have to change. I did add an entry view model. And this view model, again, is to update those glucoses. To add so we're adding the repository. We're going to getting the glucose ID. And then from there, we have the different contexts. Okay. Awesome. All right. So then the next thing, so that's what to look out for this assignment 6, and I showed you. Go back to the beginning of the video of what I expect. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'm going to try and record something before the end of the week to go over more of the code. So hopefully I get there. I can't promise that I will. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and do some of the lectures. Oh, there you go. Let's go into the dialogues. Again, dialogues will be part of chapter 7 or assignment 7. All right. So for the dialogues, what are dialogues? Okay, so what we will learn is how to host multiple fragments by an activity, how do we create dialogues that allow users to pick a date, and how to communicate and exchange between fragments. So in here, we have something called a dialogue, right? And a dialogue is an instance of a date picker dialogue, a subclass in alert dialogue. Pretty much when you click on the date, you're going to see this pop-up dialogue calendar. You're going to pick up the calendar or pick up the date, and then it's going to update it for you. That's called a date picker dialogue, okay? And it is wrapped in an instance of a dialogue fragment, which is a subclass of a fragment. And it's possible to display a date picker dialogue without a fragment, but Android does not recommend it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create a fragment for the date picker dialogue. For our case, okay? So again, create the date picker fragment class, build the date picker fragment, and get the dialog on screen using the navigation library. So how do we create a fragment? We're going to go ahead and, going to create a new fragment and then click on date fragment, and then we can go ahead and create this date picker fragment called in file, and it's a date picker fragment of a dialog fragment type. We're going to create an override function, initialize or have the values of the calendar, so calendar get instance, and then from there we're going to have the year, the month, and the day, and then we're going to return the date picker dialog, which requires the context, null, initial year, initial month, and initial day. And so we create a new class named datePicker and make it its superclass, a dialog fragment. Okay, so we have to make sure to use the Jetpack version of dialog fragment. So for that, we do have to import androidx.fragment.app.dialog fragment. So how do we show a dialog fragment? Well, we have to open up the nav graph XML and switch the design view. We're going to click Add Destination button and select the date picker fragment, and then add a new navigation action connecting the detail fragment to date picker, and then now you have two destinations. So remember that where that little button was to create a or to add one of these screens, well, that's where we're going to be clicking the same little square or rectangle with the plus button, and then we're going to be clicking on the date picker fragment. Okay, and so we're going to have three things. So we're going to have the crime list, we're going to have the crime detail fragment, and the date picker fragment. And so in here, right, so before we had the fragment, right, and we had an argument outside in the other fragment, and in here now we're going to go ahead and add the argument of the ID, the UI ID. So in this case, it would be our date ID. And then our action would be to take us to the date picker. And then from the date picker, we have to go ahead and open up the dialog. So we're going to enclose it into a fragment. And here we have the dialog, which allows to have a date picker fragment. All right. So then to edit the detail fragment or the entry fragment, we have to go ahead and do some binding. And in the well, after the binding, right, we have to go ahead and click on the old glucose, make a copy of that, and copy whatever it is to the string, and then we're gonna have to edit the life cycle to be able to collect and then update the UI. Okay, and so this is how it's gonna look. Now, when we pass between crime detail or we have to pass the data between crime detail fragment and the date picker fragment. So in here, we have the crime detail fragment. We click on the current date, and then it takes us to the date picker fragment. And after we pick up the date, then it's going to take us back to the crime detail fragment. All right, so to add an argument to the date picker fragment, we have to just go ahead and right click and then add argument, and then we click on the date type, so Java util date, and we add it. And then to pass along the date, again, like you have to go ahead and use the update UI. And then from here, we have to do the navigation controller, and then the detail fragment directions, .select date, and then from here, we're going to go ahead and actually pass the date in there. Okay. So when we have or we have other this is the date picker fragment class, and in here we have arguments, date picker fragments by navigation arguments, and then we have a calendar.type of args, which calls in the date. Okay, in our case, it'd still be the date. So how do we make a crime detail fragment receive the date back from the date picker? With activities, you use the activity result APIs, and the activity manager keeps track of the parent-child activity relationship. And so when the child activity dies, the activity manager knows which activity should receive the result. So you can create a similar connection by making crime detail fragment listen to the result from the date picker fragment. And so this connection will automatically be reestablished after both the crime detail fragment and the date picker fragment are destroyed and recruited by the OS. So how do we create such a relationship? So pretty much create a relationship so that the fragment listens to the results of the date picker. And so when they are both destroyed, we have to make sure that that relationship is still kept. So how do we do that? Well, we do this with the fragment function, and we do this with set fragment result listener. And this fragment result set listener go ahead and uses or listens into the string, the listeners, and then we request the key, the bundle, and the unit. Okay, so we have to go ahead and define the request key. Again, this is a constant value, and we call it request key date in our case. Okay. All right, so then we have the set fragment result listener. And this result listener go ahead and uses that the date picker fragment, calls in the result key, and then requests the bundle. So, but there's more things to do. So sending back the date, and here we go ahead and do the date listener, right? And this is part of, again, the dialog fragment, the date picker dialog fragment. We go ahead and have the value called date listener, and then the date picker dialog on date set listener. We call in the date picker the year, which is an integer, the month, and the days, which are all integers. Then we go ahead and call in the value result date, call in the Gregorian calendar, and cast it into time, and then set the fragment results. Okay, and again, we have to return with the date picker dialog the required context, the listener, the year, the month, and the date. So how do we handle a result in the detail fragment? To do this, we have to go ahead, again, remember the set fragment result listener. We have to go ahead and create a new date. In this case, we have to get serialize from the date picker, set the bundle key, the date class.java, and then create a new date which is not null. And then update the crime if it is. Sorry, if it's not null, then you just have to go ahead and update the date instead of creating a new date like we have here. Okay, and that's it. So those are the things that you need to get assignment 7 started. There's another topic that we do have to cover, but you should be able to start with assignment 7. Again, this is a very short lecture, and I will be hopefully posting a small video going over some of the code. But if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will go ahead and see you